it's frustrating when you try to tell somebody that the cartel is no different than ExxonMobil. They're no different than Bank of America. They have staff. They know what they're doing.
They are different because they have no rules, pay no taxes, they're not regulated, and they don't fall under anyone's control. So in that respect, they can do whatever they want when they want.
Right, Mr. Scott. How are you today, sir?
I am well, Fred. I am doing well. I'm kind of looking forward to getting into November and getting rid of October. So, I can't complain. I'm trying to think if there's anything special going on right now. Not really. I'm getting ready to do some marketing for the book, and I don't even know if there's any sales happening. I can't really get into Amazon and figure it out. But, everyone's happy and healthy, and my daughter's coming out for Thanksgiving. We're going to be together for a few days, which I'm excited about. How about you? How you feeling? I know you were a little sick for a while.
I got through the week. It was a tough week. Just a little illness, little sickness. Kicked my ass a little.
Yeah.
For some reason, it says we're live, like we're live somewhere right now, which is unique for this. I don't know if it's them messing with the buttons and stuff. So we might be live right now. I don't know. I hope my hair is looking good and stuff. But yeah, so this is your crisis coach. And we do have a guest scheduled. We haven't seen that guest yet. So we said, let's pop on and do a little mini show with Scott and I. So you said your book, you can't even see the stats on it?
Well, I haven't really looked. I know it takes a little while to get going.
Yeah, listen, I think Amazon's a 90-day payout, I believe.
But yeah, I just kind of want to track some sales. So our guest says that wants to know if we can interview on the phone. And I said, sorry, we can't. So she said they have to download the app, but that's if you go through the normal way with.
Yeah, we're not going to
see what she figures out.
Yeah, I don't think that's true, but a lot of people think Riverside is difficult. It's not difficult. It's a gem. It's a technology like anything else. It's not perfect.
It's like anything else. You don't, if you do something and then you stop doing it, you have to kind of remember how it goes in sequence. And Riverside, it's like any other platform. It just, once you understand it and know how to navigate, it's really not that hard.
Yeah. So overall, your book sales, getting back to your book stuff, book sales are tough. It is a tough industry, regardless of what people think. People think just because you write a book, it's a success. Untrue. It is a tough platform. I also think Amazon is a dying platform in book sales type stuff. I'm not a big fan of, only because they own it. Amazon owns Kindle. The Kindle software does not work without Amazon, which means they get a piece of the pie and all that. I just don't know what indie authors like us could do you can't go viral with a book anymore. Far from giving it away from free is the only way to get it into people's hands. But even then, you know how many free books I've given in my life and then the person still hasn't read it? You could tell by the way it's sitting on their shelf. And I'm like, well, why'd you ask for a copy? I just wanted to have a copy. How about you read it? It's a very frustrating, I just don't know what the algorithm is. Just like podcasting, just like my videos on YouTube and stuff. All of it is a analytic game, and there are no overnight successes. It doesn't happen overnight. It takes years.
Yeah, and I don't know, I don't know if readership's going down from a physical specimen perspective. It seems like podcasting downloads and audiobooks, people aren't necessarily buying, but who's got a bigger platform than Amazon?
Yeah, well, they do. But I wish somebody would compete with them from a software standpoint, because it's the Kindle that destroys everything. And it goes further than that. There's no rules. That's what I don't like about Amazon. There are 0 rules. As long as it is, I believe, I want to guess, 22 pages long, you could sell it. Nobody looks at it. Nobody says it's good. Nobody says it's spelt correctly. So what happens is some Yahoo puts out a mental health book competing with your addiction and mental health book. They could name it the same damn thing. They could call it the same thing and you could do nothing about it. Okay? It could be, his name could be Scott Goldman, and people could confuse all that, Silverman and the Goldman. And now all of a sudden people are logging onto his book. And all it does is one bad author in the indie world makes you look bad. And all it takes is just like restaurant reviews and stuff like that. They say a good restaurant, you tell one person. A bad restaurant, you tell 10 people. And it's the same with your book or with indie authors in general. Like if somebody said, yeah, I'm thinking of picking up Scott's book. It looks like it's really well done and stuff from what I could see in the 2-inch picture that Amazon provides me in the brief thing. So I think I'll buy that. And they go, ooh, be careful, because I bought a book off. That's all it takes. That one person to sway that. Ooh, be careful. I bought a book and it wasn't even up to date. And that's another problem. Like I try to buy some YouTube strategy books. Like somebody that knows more than me, how could I learn from them? Well, I get the book and it's from 5 years ago. Everything in it is outdated. So why am I able to buy this? I'm not buying it for a collection or the antiquity of it. So I feel you. As much as I want to release books, I love writing books. I love telling stories. I need to turn profits on at least a break even. At least a break even. And then it's just a hobby. I don't think I can call myself an author if I'm not making money doing it. I'm just a hobbyist otherwise.
Yeah.
And
It was interesting. What was a couple years ago? Looking at YouTube, and it was talking about what categories of interest were the highest. And it was money was one of the big ones. People wanted to know about money, how to make money, how to keep money, how to invest money. I can't even remember what the second one was. I think it was animals, and then food and
entertainment.
Yeah, because some of these people, it's how to build a log cabin. And I'm a DIYer. I like doing metal work and woodwork, and I get on. You get these algorithms. You watch some of these things. People have 1 million plus, viewers on a segment 9 months into their launch. It's amazing. So some things seem to go well that way.
Yeah, definitely in the categories. Categories on YouTube are a strategy also, similar to what me and you do here. How would you categorize what we do? Obviously, there's no mental health. There's health. Is this health? Is it mental health? Health? Is it? There's no addiction. So I think we are persons and blogs, people and blogs, because we're not entertainment. We might be entertaining, but we're not entertainment. We're not music. We're not law. We're people and blogs.
This is a very opaque industry that I'm in, and it's the stigma is still around it. And I watch a lot of people who struggle trying to get the message out in this world, and it's not easy. There's one addiction doctor we spoke to a few months back. He's had a couple books out, and he's an addiction MD, and he's still baffled why his phone isn't ringing off the hook after all these years. Sometimes people don't necessarily want to talk about it.
It's not a fun. It's definitely not. So for the people we tend to hear from or are listening to us are people that went through an issue or dealt with somebody that's gone through an issue. Definitely not a fun time in their life. We are definitely a scab pulling type and opening the wound again type podcast. It's not. We try our best to make everybody feel good and feel joyous and stuff and look at a future. The problem is me and you can't even see a future here. We can't see. We're looking at this, the Trump administration and seeing zero results on mental health and addiction. I don't see any beyond what I see on, yes, the border and maybe less coming in. But like you and me already know from talking to experts in those fields that they knew this was going to happen and they front loaded it. So they sent in 4 years worth of drugs before this even happened. So we're aware of that.
And now the big strategy is blowing up fishing boats,
right,
in Venezuela. And that doesn't change the demand. it doesn't change the consumer's desire to want to
Exactly.
take
I'm
meat off their.
appreciative. I'm appreciative of any efforts to deter the drug trade from moving forward. But I'd be more appreciative in seeing some of the listen, I still see homeless people every day. I see military, and I don't hear a peep from the administration. I hear about ballrooms. I hear about border patrols. I hear about ICE agents and criminals and trillions of dollars coming in. But I do not see homeless people getting off the street at all. I don't see addiction going down. Now, I'm not into it as much as you are from a numbers standpoint, but I still see it on the news every night. I still see a problem here, problem there. Some
And that's
crime, yeah.
and that's not going to go away. I mean, if this shutdown continues and what they're projecting going to take place with people's excess to insurance or fees for insurance, and then the stressors around job layoffs and not getting paychecks and the economy not shifting, we're going to see more of that. We're going to see more. And substance abuse is not down. What's down is overdoses, and that's only because of naloxone and people getting a little smarter. And the cartel will tell you that they've lowered the dosage of, of the opioids. So
Yeah, people don't want to hear that. People don't want to hear that the cartel is a business, which me and you are well aware from a business structure. These guys have meetings and everything. This isn't TV where these guys are just sitting with M16s in some drug den in the middle of the woods. These are corporate. It's a corporation at this point. Corporate. These guys are having real meetings, and somebody's bringing up in that meeting, well, it's really hard to sell drugs to a dead person that we keep killing. Well, how could we go? And they're smart people. Smart does not mean against the law. There's plenty of smart criminals. Ask the Louvre, about smart criminals and stuff. But, it's frustrating when you try to tell somebody that the cartel is no different than Exxon Mobil. They're no different than Bank of America. They have staff. They know what they're doing.
well, let me correct you. They are different because they have no rules, they pay no taxes, they're not regulated, and they don't fall under anyone's control. So in that respect, they can do whatever they want when they want, and it's clearly happened that way. We're seeing it. And the more pressure that they put on the border here just means they're going to swing their distribution over to Europe and other parts of the world where the walls aren't there, because there's no reason for them to deal with the issues going on. And the administration now is talking about potentially declaring war on Venezuela and Colombia, and the cartels probably are better prepared than any other group to deal with this. And you know what? They'll just shift their distribution for a while, because I don't think the US can spend this kind of money on a daily basis. And at the end of the day, it doesn't solve the problem. The consumer's still there. The demand is still there. That's not going to go away because of what the administration is doing. And you're absolutely right. We have to start treating it like diabetes and heart disease and cancer, because if we don't talk about it, you and I could be here 10 years from now, forgetting homelessness for just another minute. And winter's coming now. So we'll see what that looks like. I think
we just wouldn't be, the only thing that would cause is, okay, now fentanyl has been wiped out. Doesn't matter. The addict still needs his fix. And if we did nothing to help the addict, they're just going to start huffing paint again. They're going to go old school if they have to. They're going to find their high somewhere.
Well, so, we've got ketamine, we've got marijuana that's now being legalized. And marijuana is as potent as you could possibly get, 90% THC. So drugs aren't getting less dangerous. The demand isn't going down, and the addictive, compulsive, obsessive behavior of dealing with life doesn't go away just because we want it to. So, you and I are having this conversation pretty regularly. We shouldn't be the only ones having the conversation. And locally, give me an example. Prop 36 was voted on. I don't think it had a 75% support last year by the voter in California. And Prop 36 was a proposition that was set up to take the chronic offender, historically a substance use disorder abuser, who was getting, recidivating and getting rearrested and going to the ER and Prop 47 was created a couple years ago, so there wouldn't be that strong penalty on people because there was no room in the inn anymore. And that's where that $1,000 limit came with retail theft. So all that was changed with Prop 36. And San Diego has a pretty good network of criminal justice working with behavioral health and community-based groups to try to solve problems or implement solutions. So here we are. It was law in January. There was a big article in the paper this weekend. And bottom line is they've taken something like 554 people that were eligible for the program, right? That could go into treatment as an alternative to being reincarcerated or incarcerated. And what's happened is there's no funding for it, so they're not getting access to treatment.
Yeah.
And this was the public defender's office working with the district attorney's office in our community. And they never sit down together because technically they're at different sides of the courtroom. One's trying to keep them out of jail, one's trying to put them away. So here we are, 11 months into the year, and it's just been disclosed there's no funding and they're not able to get these people that fall under the new law access to treatment because there's no funding for it.
Yeah.
And the community-based groups that do the treatment for people that are on Medi-Cal or underinsured or not insured, they can't take them in. They're already peaked out with the people who have the need and the demand. So it's just silly. It's amazing how California keeps throwing these ideas up and we're not improving it a bit. And when the winter comes for us here in California, which is, nothing compared to what you have, we'll start seeing more and more people on the street. Plus cost of living's gone way up, and housing's almost, absorbent it. So we've got all this perfect storm going on. And you're right that the leadership doesn't see it as a problem. And you look at LA, 70,000 homeless people. That's just crazy.
And that doesn't even go, I'm not even speaking just Republican. I don't see the Democrats stepping up and doing what they said they're going to do either. I don't see politicians doing the job as a whole. I'm tired of, I don't know about you, I'm so over left, right, wrong, our way, your way. Man, I just wish we could go back to the just agree to disagree type stuff where, if something was, years ago, going back into the 80s and 90s, if I was leaving office and I'm a Democrat, say, and I'm leaving office, but I have a damn good idea, the next guy came in and said, you know what? That is a good idea. I'll build on it. I'm going to add my own things to it, but I'm also going to give credit to this guy. You know what I mean? Like two Americans instead of Democrat, Republican. Two American men.
The continuum, if it's a good rule, keep it in place. If you need to modify it, but not throw it out. It's interesting. I didn't learn this until probably 20 years ago, but grand juries, you know how they work. People come in, they volunteer, they work a year. And if the same situation happens a week after that group is terminated, that new group has to start over again with the investigation. They can't use the information that was gathered during that period of time. It just seems odd that we have the kind of things going on that it's almost counterintuitive. It's like trying to take a walk and drag 4 tires with you. How long?
Well, it is because we are not solving a single problem when all we're doing on both sides wrong.
Oh, I agree.
The minute, let's say Trump calls this ballroom the Donald Trump ballroom.
He probably will.
Now the Democrat comes in, he's going to change the name of that ballroom. I'm tired of this bullshit. It's so tiring. I don't care what the Gulf of America is called. I don't care. It does not. Just leave it. Gulf of America now. Gulf of Mexico. I don't care. It doesn't affect my life one bit. It doesn't affect many people's lives at all. It's all a game. I don't care if the ballroom is called the Donald Trump ballroom. Guy's president of the United States. That's what it was named. There's plenty of things I'm not a fan of. Let's say the New York Yankees. I'm not a fan of the Yankees. I don't ask them to change their name.
But you don't stop watching baseball because you're not a fan of the Yankees.
Right.
You just watch the team you like.
Don't care about. There's certain things I just don't. I don't see real issues being tackled I see a bunch of guys that are way too comfortable in their positions, way too comfortable in their jobs.
Well, there's no consequence. If they fail in their job, there's no consequence. I mean, if you don't make enough money to pay your overhead, there's consequences. If I don't generate enough revenue, I can't pay staff, we can't treat people, there's a consequence. But it seems like in government, there is no consequence. You don't get revoted in again, but then, of course, you can do whatever you want when the platform comes up for the voting. And once you get in, Trump was on the plane yesterday going to, where was he going? To China and
Asia.
And he's talking about a third term. And he's like, I don't know much about that, and maybe I could go in as a vice president. And he goes, but that would be too cute. It's like, what about all these people? And then when he talks about how we're just going to kill them, what kind of message is that sent to people? You think your neighbor's a drug dealer? Well, just blow up their house. It's okay. He'll pardon you.
Yeah, I'm just not a fan of this, like going into cities that are only Democrat cities because I'm a Republican. He's the president. He's supposed to be the president of the United States. Everybody, whether they voted for him or not. And he's not. It's not just him, though. There's guys on the other side. I just don't know. I'm so tired of seeing it on social media and the news. I just snooze it all. I have friends that are, at one point, I'm glad I'm starting to see where my friends' brains really are, because they have no problem sharing that on Facebook and stuff. But I'm also shocked to know, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but I can't see a guy who has daughters being such apologizing for Trump's past so much. I'd be ashamed for my daughter's futures if that's what I was left. Well, that's what I was doing.
Think about the generation of my kids, your kids. What are they seeing right now? What are their takeaways going to be with what they're seeing demonstrated at leadership level and what's going on globally and how this works and what's going on, with Russia and Ukraine and Israel and Hamas? It's just scary. It's really
first
scary.
Of all, I could tell you from a standpoint, my daughter has no idea about Israel or Hamas. One reason is because I also don't follow that at all. I don't understand it. I don't understand it one bit. That's become a political thing. I mean, you fall into that political thing the same because you're very obviously pro-Israel.
Well, being Jewish, that's pretty common.
Being Jewish.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we're talking about, from an outsider's standpoint, my standpoint, none of it makes any sense. What are they fighting over? Land? Stupid land? Who cares? Why can't they get along? Because of one believes in this God, one believes in this God. They're killing each other's kids, kidnapping each other, and they're both just as brutal, violent-wise.
And by the way, I'm not in favor of what's perceived as Israel's enemy dying and going away, because I think all human beings deserve a place on the planet. And Hamas and in Gaza, no matter what position you take on the planet, most of the town, the heart of the town, has been destroyed. So they have no infrastructure, and that's going to have to be built. And 97% of the population isn't even working or generating an income. And as an entity, they don't have a whole lot of friends left right now. And Israel spends, 70 cents of every dollar creating a defense mechanism so they can deal with the bombs that are being chucked over the fences. So nobody's winning,
Yeah, there's no win. That's what I mean. Why are we even... And then what point... That's where politics... Why is America involved in this? What do we care? It's not our land. It's not their land. Why aren't they fighting for themselves? And all this stuff. But I don't know, the pick and choose stuff. But back to what you were pointing out was, what are the children? All they see is TikTok news. So they see news from somebody's perspective, right or wrong. That's a problem. There's no true news source anymore to go to. I don't even know where the truth is on these things. On most matters, I have to use my common sense, but which isn't always that common or sensible.
Well,
So
and if you're only looking at one side of the news, you're not making it what I would consider to be a well-rounded, informed decision. But I don't think I need to watch Fox and MSNBC. I listen and I try to filter, and I'm like you. I'm switching it off now because it's one of them is trying to destroy something. One of them is trying to complain about it. One's trying to complain about how they're destroying something, and the others believe that the others aren't really hearing the truth. So, I've always said there's three kinds of truth: yours, mine, and the truth. And getting to the truth today, I don't know how people are doing it unless they're really, really diligent. And, most people have gotten poisoned. And I think COVID put people into caves and cubbies, and it really gave people a way to figure out what they think they need to do. And with that, we've got people springboarding out of that. And these are young people. I fear for what the future looks like because it's just, to your point earlier, we're not talking about it. We're not talking about quality of life. We're not talking about family. We're not talking about things that are important to each and every one of us, and to your message about social media and TikTok's going to get sold. What's that going to look like? And then you look at the people that are in charge of most of those platforms. They've got their own agenda. I don't think they started that way. I mean, Apple never started that way. Look at the way they are today. Look at Amazon. Look at the way that, Twitter's going, and look what's happening with, the way people are getting information today is guided by the narcissistic. That's what my book's about. You're not God, that job is taken. And that's why I thought, I can't wait for this thing to get out there. So maybe it'll resonate with people, but who knows how many people we might wake up. We may not. Well, Fredd, we're almost out of time. Our guest did not make it onto the platform today.
nope, that's okay though. We always can fill the time, but so why don't you give people your phone number while we're doing that?
Yeah, why don't you call me and talk to me? 619-993. Or just visit me at yourcrisiscoach.com and let's have a conversation. Let me know what's on your mind. And if you have an idea of a guest for us, or if you have a question you want us to answer, or a topic you want us to look at, Fredd and I, I don't know if are we apolitical or we're just,
I think we're willing
we're nice
to
guys.
we're willing to listen.
Yeah.
I'll listen to anybody. Listen, we
I
both
gotta tell you, I think that 65% of any conversation is listening, the majority of the time, to be able to listen and, more importantly, let people talk. Sometimes you let them go long enough. One of my buddies at the meeting the other day says, I was talking to my sister and I was hoping she'd run out of words. It was kind of funny. And I took that to heart. Michelle and I were talking the other night. I said, honey, when are you going to run out of words? She goes, what do you mean? I go, when are you going to stop? Because she was on to something political. And I go, I don't want to listen to it. Yeah. There's nothing I can do about Hamas. And, Netanyahu's got his own agenda. So,
too many
agendas. Got his agenda. And just like we've got our agenda, but we let anybody in and we'll take any questions. So, thanks for being here. And that's how we're going to be. Fredd, I'll leave it to you to wrap us up, brother.
Yeah, so this is your crisis coach with myself, Fredd Carroll, and Scott H. Silverman. The H stands for Herman, Harvey.
I'm not going to tell you. I've already told you 3 or 4 times.
Hollander. Henry.
Have a nice day.
Have a good day. Scott, have a good day, Silverman. Yeah. So if nobody has told you they love you today, we love you, and we will see you again next week. Thank you for joining us.